Thank you, Ivan, for the introduction and the opportunity to present our latest funding into quantum computing with a focus on photonic, of course. So briefly, today I will present an overview of the quantum computing application and ensure status. Then, of course, I will present some market application forecast, and I will conclude how photonics can be a very important enabling technology for quantum computing. So first of all, quantum is real because at every level of the supply chain, there are companies involved in quantum computing development. We start, of course, with the quantum hardware layer, but also some company doing quantum computers, some company doing software application layer, services layer, and end user layer. And at the moment, it's not very clear what will be the first use case for quantum computer. But on my side, I see quite important traction for finance application, medical, and industrial applications. And also another very interesting things I've noticed since the past month is that some big semiconductor companies are now looking at quantum technology, either by providing some foundry services, like for example, Global Foundry, or by providing some test equipment, tool equipment like Keysight, for example, for testing quantum chip and quantum systems. Of course, you can see here some big names like Intel, Honeywell, like Google, but in Europe, we have very, very strong players involved in quantum, not only photonic quantum computing like Quantela, but also technology as well. So just a quick reminder, there are different types of quantum computer, and we are quite far from maturity at the moment because, of course, we need long-term development. But here again, what I've noticed in the past years that there is no real quantum winter. I will show afterwards some level of funding for quantum technology, and it's interesting to see that every month there is new funding rounds for quantum technology, and most of the funding is for quantum computing at the moment, and even new startups are created. So today on the market, we can find quantum annealer based on superconducting qubit or quantum emulators. We are now entering the era of NISQ, where we can use a few hundred of physical qubits, which are better performing than HPC, but still limited by noise. And before having real use case, it takes still a few years, but actually I visited some interesting quantum company in the past month, and it's moving quite fast. So probably before 2030, we can see the first practical achievement of using quantum computer. And of course, the long term, we see a universal quantum computer. So of course, we need a high number of logical qubits. It means a high number of physical qubits, and it will be a 10 to 20 years more development. All these quantum computers are based on different platforms, qubit platforms. The most famous ones are superconductor, photon, spin qubit, quasi-particle, NV center, trapped ion, and cold atoms. Here, that's a roadmap of some company developing qubit technology. So you've got many names and many companies. You can see that over the past few years, there have been quite speed up into the achievement of a number of qubits. For example, Quandela in France now has optical quantum computer using 30 qubits and based on PEAQ. There's of course PsiQuantum developing PEAQ-based quantum computer, but they plan to achieve 1 million qubits. We cannot say when, but at least it will be the first real photonic-based quantum computers. What is interesting to see that if we look at the level of funding, of investment, private investment for the different platform of qubit, it's interesting to see that actually most of the funding is currently for photonic platform. Of course, it's mainly due to a big company, PsiQuantum, that attract a lot of funding, but with also Xanadu in Canada Photonics Incorporated in USA, Turing, Quantela, QSI that have raised funding for photonic based qubit for quantum computer. Of course, one of the most mature technologies still attracting a lot of investment is superconducting qubit on the left of this graph, with historical players like D-Wave. Of course, one of the champions of quantum computer is IBM, which every year achieve a new step in their roadmap, and is based on superconducting qubit. There are some other challenging technology, like, for example, trapped ion, neutral atom, or something with coming now, it's quantum dot spin, silicon spin-based qubit, with just coming now with interesting development. So interesting startup in France, for example, C12, using carbon nanotube, or Kobli, latest spin-off of CLAT, that start attracting some funding. One of the advantage of this spin qubit technology is, of course, the scalability, because we could use CMOS processing to achieve a large number of physical qubit, and after that, a large number of logical qubit. But scalability is also a big advantage of photonic IC, because here we also use wafer scale technologies. So this is a difficult exercise, but if we try to make a benchmark of the different qubit technology, we can see that no platform is perfect. We can say this one is better than this one isn't good, this wasn't, but everyone has his own advantage and disadvantage. For example, if we look at superconducting, of course, we got the good scalability. Today, this is a platform that achieves the largest number of qubits with IBM, but the coherence time, T2, is not so good. On the other hand, if we look, for example, for spin quantum dot, we got very tiny qubit, so it's cool for scalability. Here again, we can use CMOS process, so we can scale in millions of qubits, but in terms of achievement, probably it's the platform with the lowest number of qubits today. And because we talk about photon today, if we look at the photon platform, it's a bit difficult to compare photon to other qubit platform, because actually we can consider photon like flying qubit compared to cold atom, trapped ion, vacancy center, superconducting, and spin qubit. But one advantage is, first, we can use photonic qubit at room temperature, which is a big advantage, because we don't need very expensive and bulky cryogenic system. It's, of course, a scalable platform using either, for example, silicon nitride, which have a nice maturity in manufacturing. We can achieve peaks and achieve the realization of QPU based on photon. But here, in terms of achievement of a qubit, we are still maybe in a low number. At the moment, Quandela achieves 6 number of photon qubit at the moment. Here again, it's very difficult to say, okay, this platform will be used in the future to achieve quantum computer. Probably it will be a mix between different platforms. Again, one nice advantage of photon here is we can use photon to interconnect, because there is a lot of know-how in datacom and telecom using fiber optics to interconnect devices together. So one advantage also of photon is not only the realization of the qubit or the processor unit, but also all the interconnect of the computer or the different systems together. And it's also interesting because we got one mature manufacturing platform with this silicon photonic. So it can be SOI based, silicon nitride. Over the past year, I've seen that we move from SOI, pure SOI technology, to other type of material, still wafer scale, but still using silicon, so like silicon nitride. But step by step, I see also new material coming to be integrated on this platform. We mentioned, for example, film lithium niobate for modulation, which is also very important because high-speed modulation will be key in quantum computer. So if we can have specific material can be fully integrated to the manufacturing platform, that will be really advantages. But here, silicon photonic platform is interesting because it leverages wafer scale simulation manufacturing platform. It has product success and maturity because today we ship millions of optical transceiver by Intel, Cisco, and a few others based on silicon photonics. We cut an existing foundry infrastructure with mature process, and beyond interconnect and optical and for the qubit, there's also interesting development into pure optical computers. So here I come to this slide that show the different architecture for the main 4 types of quantum computers. And you can see that photonic can be used in almost all of them. I could add that for superconductor qubit that use microwave and quantum chip based superconductor, we can even imagine using photonic for interconnect. But for all the other trapped ion, cold atom, or photon qubit, there's at least 2 photonic or optical systems, either to control the qubit, control computer with laser or spatial line modulator, or to trap atom with optical tweezer, or to make the qubit readout, or to make the photon detector, or to use a unique photon sources. And of course, the qubit chip by itself can be an optical chips. So you can see that photonics, whatever will be the different architecture of quantum computer will play a role in that. And for example, Optica gave a presentation, our laser is an ambient technology for quantum computer. We could also need some PICs based on silicon nitride, for example, to make the quantum optical chips. We need sources, we call single photon sources or photodetector, different material. Also, it's interesting to see that for some architecture, trapped ion or cold atom qubit computer, there will be more or less the same electronic optical setup. You see for trapped ion and cold atom qubit, we will need some optical system to control the qubit with laser. We will need spatial light modulator, CC readout, and also we will need laser to control qubit and to make the readout. Or also for cold atom qubit, we need laser, mini laser, and a digital mirror display to trap atom to control the qubit gate or to make the qubit readout. So there will be no quantum computer without photonic system inside probably in the futures. So actually, it's an industrial reality, quantum computer, but it's also an existing market. This is a 2022 player market share involved in quantum computer. So I do not say this company is making money by shipping quantum computer, but when you look at the revenue, actually they declare some revenue based on NRE or R&D project or a specific project. So got Rigetti, IonQ, for example, and many other small players doing custom writing project and having some revenue from that. So the forecast I did for quantum technology. So quantum technology is not only computer, even if computing is always the largest share, but quantum technology, at least using photon, can also be linked to communication with cryptography or to sensing. But if you look on this bubble for 2022, 2025, and 2030, you will see that the largest market growth will be the pink bubble that will be for quantum computing. And I distinguish 2 things, hardware and quantum associated services. So what I call quantum computer full stack is company that will deliver complete quantum computer. But There will be very expensive and bulky system. For example, T-Quantum is currently developing a huge quantum computer, and it's unlikely they will deliver 10 of that. Probably they will have specific business model to run some calculation services as some data center already do. So quantum as a service will be what you will pay to use quantum computing to make modelization, simulation, for example. And company will get money for that from the time you will run to them to make your calculations. Okay, so this what you can do for us, what we can do for you. So we don't do any hardware, so we are a market research company, but we are always happy discussing and interacting with you to exchange my vision of the market with you, to keep update of your latest achievement, just to be on track on the quantum computing evolution and to share my analysis with you. So thank you for your time, and you got my email address. You want to contact me.